All right, I've decided to do stir fry for our Daniel plan thing tonight. The great thing about stir fry is it's quick and easy. You can use any vegetables that you have laying around the house. Uh, some of my mainstays typically is bell pepper, onion. I'll put celery in. Uh, I'll put in water chestnuts. Um, I've got some bean sprouts in the fridge that I'm going to put in, mushrooms. You can just put all kinds of great stuff in. When you're stir frying, it makes it fresh because you're cooking it quick. And so I've chopped up some green bell pepper. I make my chops about 3/4 of an inch. You want to keep your chops uniform so that it cooks evenly. And typically when you put stuff in the wok, you want to put the stuff in first that takes the longest to cook. So that's typically my onions, and then I'll add in my green bell pepper. I'll add in my water chestnut, my celery. Water chestnut and celery are great because they keep kind of that crispy, crunchy taste for your just for your mouth feel. But you can have a lot of different ingredients that you put in there. For my protein, I'm going to put in some eggs. I'm going to scramble some eggs in and also add some peanuts. So I've already started with some mushrooms. I've put a little bit of, you can use coconut oil if you'd like to start it. A little bit of coconut oil, get your pan nice and hot. Started heating up the mushrooms, and once the one side of the mushrooms got good, then I added some minced garlic and got that good. Then I'll put that off on the side and put my vegetables, my main vegetables together after that. Notes: when I cook, I like to clean up as I go. When you do your chopping, you're going to have, like for instance, the celery, you'll have both ends that you'll cut off. I like to keep a plastic bag and a bowl where I can just take this stuff, put all my garlic skin in, all my seeds, eggshells, and then I put all of my ingredients that are going as they'll fit on a plate, and I can just kind of add those in at a time. I take my celery and I cut it down the center, and then I just make small chops here to keep it bite size, and chop up my stuff like so. Okay, you can stop it. All right, right now I'm just putting the eggs in. I've beat 2 eggs, added a little bit of water so it mixes well, and I just put it down in there with a little bit of the coconut oil. And I'm going to lightly scramble it, let it get good and fluffy, and then I'm going to put it off to the side and do my vegetables next. Cook it, because I will be cooking it again with the vegetables when I mix it in with the sauce. Now I'm going to, while this is hot and while I'm just kind of about to mix my sauce, I put a little bit of sesame seed just in there on the bottom. I'm going to toast that for a little bit because toasted sesame seed on top of all this is just a nice little flavor. I'll put it on, and it is heating some, so I'll just stir it around a little bit. I don't want it to burn, but it doesn't take long, and then I'll take that off of the heat as well. I like to make my own sauce because some of the sauces that you get in the store are going to have a lot of sugar in them. They're going to have MSG or other kind of ingredients that you just really don't want. So you can have a little more control, not only in the ingredients, but the amounts of ingredients. So you can kind of mix to taste and get to where you find exactly what is some of your favorite. My main start at the base is soy sauce, so I'll put some soy sauce in there. A couple tablespoons to get it started off with. Then I'll add a little bit of mirin. Mirin is rice cooking wine. It adds a little bit of sweetness, and so that's let's say that was a little more than I normally like. But let's say about a little less than a tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon in there. Sesame oil Don't want to add too much of this, but it does give a nice, unique flavor. Again, you don't want to add much. About a half a teaspoon of that. Oyster sauce and fish sauce are good to add into sauces. This takes a little time to pour out, so I'll do this off camera. But I'll add about half a tablespoon to a tablespoon of oyster sauce. All right, I've whisked that together. I'm also going to add a little bit of chili oil, and that puts a little bit of heat in there. You can also add sriracha or chili paste to add some heat if you like to do that. Now, once I get the taste just how I like it, I'm going to add a little bit of cornstarch. And cornstarch is going to thicken it up some. It also adheres to the, need maybe about a teaspoon, 2 teaspoons. Whisk that together. It takes a little bit to get that cornstarch to mix all the way in. And then after you get it nice and mixed, you're ready to put your vegetables in. Really, the one of the tricks to stir fry is the most time that it takes is in your prep, is in your cutting, you're getting stuff out, if you're making your own sauces, doing that. The actual cook time goes very quickly. So you want to make sure you do all your prep work beforehand so that you don't have to look for an ingredient, scramble for something, or cut something real quick while things are in the wok, because if you're not careful, it can get away from you. You don't want to burn something. That's perfect. All right, again, I'm putting a little bit of coconut oil. I'm going to let that heat up again. Coconut oil, remember, fat is not your enemy. Fat is actually good. Your body needs it. It's good for you, and fat doesn't make you fat, right? It's sugar that makes you fat. So cooking with fat, with coconut oil or something like that is okay, especially if you use it in moderation. And with stir fry, you don't need a lot of it. So I'm going to let that get warmed up good. Once it completely liquefies and gets hot, then I'm going to start adding my ingredients. I've got it on about 8 of 10 because you want it to cook quickly. You really want to sear the outside and still keeping it fairly crisp. All right, well that looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and add my bell peppers first. I'm just using a wooden spoon here. I'm going to make sure to stir it up good. Get that oil all around it. Then once I get it all good and stirred, then I'm just going to let it sit there for 15, 30 seconds, so it'll get may even get a little brown at the bottom, so it'll sear it a little bit. Once I do one side like that, just for sake of video, I'll just kind of keep going. I'll give it a couple more little flips. Then I'll push it off to the side. The nice thing about a wok is you can push your ingredients off to the side and then add another bit of ingredients where it'll hit the heat. Now I'll just kind of get, same thing here. I'll move the onions around some. And so I don't overdo the bell peppers, what I'll do is I'll take those peppers and I'll just flip them on top of the onions. So the onions can continue, they can begin searing, but I'm not going to overdo the bell peppers. I'll let those sit, and then I'll just continue adding the different ingredients as I go. All right, I've added in the peanuts at the end. You see they're cooking on one side while the vegetables and the bean sprouts were on the bottom. They were getting cooked as well. I like to, even though the peanuts are dry roasted, having them at the bottom there and just kind of letting them heat really brings out their flavor. Now I'm going to fold in the mushrooms and the eggs. Now the mushrooms and the eggs haven't really been seasoned or flavored. I'm just got a little bit of Bragg's in there. Give it a little bit of a salty, smoky taste. Stir them up a bit. Just to give them a bit of flavor before I add the other sauce in there. But that'll just really absorb a nice little bit of seasoning in with it. I'll start to stir up these peanuts. They've gotten nice and a little bit of brown to them, which is nice. You see, the thing about stir fry is it makes a lot before you even realize it. You can be cooking a little bitty onion, cooking a little bitty bell pepper, add my sauce in there. You don't want to add too much, you can always add more later, but you don't want a soupy mix. You want it to absorb as much of that sauce, and the starch will help it cling. Give it a little body. You don't need so much that it pools at the bottom. And just a little bit more there. All right. Now, there you go. That is predominantly vegetables. Your protein is healthy. You got peanuts. You got scrambled eggs, bell pepper, onion, celery. Very little added. Not a lot of sodium. We got some soy sauce, but we didn't put too much sauce in there. And the stuff is still very crisp. A lot of texture to that meal. I think you're going to enjoy it. And don't forget to add your sesame seeds on top to round out that flavor.